And welcome back. Now, we're backtracking from the extraction point where I was to go into this cave that I just walked past before. There's more trip mines here, but if you have somebody with a ranged ability, you can target the mounting point on the side of the rock and destroy them from a safe distance. Now, the main reason for going into this tunnel instead of proceeding past the extraction point... Oh, damn. Well, Colossus will enjoy that when he's finally high enough level to use it. Is that, once you get through the tunnel and past these guys, just more shock troopers and more troopers that are resistant to mental attacks, which, fortunately, I don't really have anyone who depends on those. Except maybe Scarlet Witch. But, as you can see, there's a tech station here. And I believe this one is for speed, which, based on who is in my party right now, if you really want to like get into min-maxing, you can go back and swap in certain characters to just like boost the crap out of their speed. But I'm just giving it to Toad now. And we backtracked out of the tunnel, we're going back past the extraction point and into this cave. We're almost to the point where we're going to find where we need to go. And I will note, I'm not going to be swapping any party members for this episode at least. I do want to swap party members sometime in the near future just to make sure everyone stays like within a couple levels of each other. I know that the tempting thing to do with this game is to just pick 4 people in particular, play them the entire game, and just max out all their key stats. Like, everyone has mutant abilities in this, so obviously the focus stat is going to be really important, but that's not how I play this game. I want to show as many characters as possible. I want to keep things as relatively even as possible. I want to show off as many discoveries as possible. I mean, I'm likely going to miss some here and there, but I want to at least try. Anyway, we're in front of where we need to go, and there's going to be a familiar face waiting there.
I've already told Apocalypse I'm not interested in joining him. Why does he send lackeys to try and persuade me?
We don't work for Apocalypse. We're here with Professor Charles Xavier and Magneto.
Ah, I heard they were at Avalon. So, you must be friends of Kazar.
Yes, we are.
This is delicious. I owe Kazar so much for the many times he's thwarted my plans. Killing you will be most pleasurable.
And thus we have a boss fight. Now, Sauron is not a particularly difficult fight, just kind of annoying. He has 2 phases, one where he's flying above everyone trying to drop bombs on their heads, and for this one, you can just use like ranged attacks when he does that. And then he will land, and particularly if you have like Rogue or Wolverine or Juggernaut or someone who has really strong, brutish physical attacks, you can just melt Sauron's health bar. When he's up in the air, you can use things like Storm's Lightning. It's a ranged ability, but it has tracking with it, so you don't have to worry about like certain projectiles that will like go off course trying to track somebody down in the air or at a distance. I've also had instances with this fight where I got really impatient and just took someone like Rogue or Storm, flew into the air and started punching him. He will retaliate eventually and knock you back to the ground if you try doing that. Other than that, not a whole lot to write home about in this fight. He does stun you and damage you a little bit when he's about to go airborne again, but not really a huge threat, this Sauron guy. That's it for Sauron. Now we can get back to finding the passage to Beast. His items just rain from the sky. I didn't used to have this problem, but ever since I saw Lord of the Rings, I keep wanting to call him Saruman, which, wrong, very wrong. So, did end up leveling through that. I'm just going to do basic stat alignment, point into Smash for Rogue, Reality Shift for Scarlet Witch, and we are in the Nuwali Shrine. Now, this is a little windy. It has a lot of paths that double back on themselves. It's also very dark. That's just the camera angle. When the characters walk in, it gets brighter. Shanna, we've made it into the Nuwali Temple. Now, what should we look for?
There should be a door that leads to the inner chambers. That most likely is where they're keeping Beast. But I would warn you, the door requires 2 keys to open.
Where would we find these keys?
They're probably hidden somewhere in the temple.
Indeed they are. So, there are 2 keys in technically 2 separate areas here. Right now, we're in the Nuwali Shrine, and there's an adjacent area called the Nuwali Corridors, which we're going to eventually see exit points for. But for now, this room has like a big central area and then 2 branching paths going off to either side. We're taking the right path first and getting a glimpse at some of the enemies in this area, namely the Infinites, which are basically the gunner guys who back up a lot, and Shifters, the mutant projectile guys who also sometimes back up a lot. Now, aside from them being a higher level, they don't have any resistances, so they should put up minimal resistance as you're going through here until they start getting like greater in number and paired with other certain enemies we haven't seen yet. Now, anytime you see me jump cut here, it's because there's nothing in the room except destructibles, and I don't want you to sit through 1.5 minutes of me breaking everything in a room. So you get to here, and this is where it helps to have somebody with the Might ability, like Rogue, Juggernaut, Wolverine. Basic statue puzzle to open a path. God damn it, Toad. Maybe I should remove Toad from the party, now that I think of it. But for now, you can find a tech station along the way here. This one is for body. Rogue could easily make use of that. So we're going to continue on along this winding path. There's not really a whole lot of like densely populated enemy groups here yet. The only real concern is when you get to these intersection areas, because there will be mobs on one side of it and mobs on the other side of it, and you can get a situation like this where the path that you didn't go down, if you still get close enough to that side, you can end up aggroing enemies and they'll chase you down from behind. But again, these are like the basic lackey enemies for this area, so it's not going to be a huge problem if that does happen. Also, if you have someone with might, there's tons of stuff here you can pick up and throw at enemies, which is useful, unless your teammates block it. And there is a yellow homing beacon here. We've got 4 out of 4 of those, so you know what we can do with that later. But for now, I'm going to continue working our way through this area, and of course getting the key that we need is not going to be quite as simple as just walking in and taking it, because when you go down these side paths after taking care of more of these destructible objects, you do eventually come to a room where I don't know if you could see it just off the right side of the screen, but once we're done with these enemies, there's a floor switch, and when you step on it... Pressing this panel seems to have lit that torch near the altar. Maybe there's another panel somewhere near that would light the other torch. And in fact there is. And we will get to that in a moment, but you can see this wall opens up toward the central chamber. I'm actually going to backtrack all the way back to the path at the intersection that I didn't take before. And once again, you have a lot more of these infinites and shifters, and they're not going to present much of a challenge. But, hold on, had to take my security rock so I could clip it through the doorways. I don't know why. It's the little things that get me about this game, like being able to do that, or huck flaming boulders at people. I'll be honest, I forgot that I did that. The flaming boulder part, I mean. But anyway, as we're proceeding deeper and deeper into the shrine, there are going to be multiple like side antechambers branching off of this. And this one also leads into the big room in the middle, which, if you go up to this altar, you'll see a mystic stone. About that. Look, there's a Nuwali keystone on that altar, but it can't be that easy to just walk up and grab it. We'd better look to see if there's some type of trap we have to deactivate. And in fact, there is. And there's another floor switch for that, but you can in fact just run up and grab the stone anyway, without deactivating the trap. When you do that, the statue behind it breaks, it looks like a mob spawns, and then... Shanna, we just found something covered in Nuwali symbols. Could this be one of the keys to the gateway?
The writing on it is in a dialect I don't know, but it looks to be a key of some type.
Then we'll hold on to it. It could come in handy later. And you have to fight this mob that spawns behind you, and it can turn invisible, making it a lot harder to track. Also, so the health bar just tends to not pop up for it. It's not that strong of a mob, though. So, I'm going to fly over here and show you that this is where the other switch is located. Obviously, if you trip the trap, stepping on the floor switch doesn't do anything now. The mob doesn't really do a whole lot to dissuade you from just taking the key early. I mean, it's not that strong, it's just slightly annoying to deal with. Anyway, moving further through these areas that are along the other path that I didn't take earlier, you're going to see a lot of the same things that were here earlier. It sort of gets presented like a pick your poison sort of scenario going left or right, except they're both pretty much the same. Except for this one special unit here that does EP drain, but I mean, it's not a high enough level that it'll survive long enough to drain any significant amount of EP from any of your party members. You've got some nice gear of the mind out of it, so there's that at least. And much of the rest of this is just going to be exploring the rest of the shrine area before going to the commons. However, there is this danger room disc kind of tucked into the corner. Not as well hidden as the beacon was earlier, but still kind of easy to miss if you're just trying to rush through the level and get to the commons. Which, by the way, if you follow one path all the way to the end, you will eventually see an exit point. But you don't want to go through that just yet. So I'm basically going back toward the beginning of the level at this point. And we're going to take one of the paths that I ignored earlier. Specifically this one, right off to the left of the spawn point. And, oh, missed one. There's always a straggler. My health is kind of low, but it's not a huge concern. There's nothing that's going to do enough damage that I'm worried about Rogue like dying before I have a chance to react and use a heal. Particularly not when I can turn Rogue into a ranged mutant with all this crap that I can throw at people. So once we sort of pivot around this central obstacle, there's going to be an exit point there. That'll be where we go eventually, but there is something else right near the end of this section. There is this, a comic book, just tucked in between these tall rocks. And this exit point, once I smash a couple of things, is the Nuwali corridors. Oh, but wait.
I'm sorry to bother you in the middle of your mission, but I just discovered Mikhail has stolen my father's cache of antimetal.
What's antimetal?
It is a material that can cut through any known metal. If Mr. Sinister got his hands on it, he would figure out some way to replicate it.
And then Apocalypse's army would be almost invincible.
That is exactly what I was thinking. You must find where Mikhail has hidden the antimetal in the Nuwali Temple. Return it to me, and I will make sure no one ever finds it again.
So we get more objectives on top of the other objectives. So now we gotta track down the Vibranium Idol, and this is going to be a decent stopping point, because the extraction point is right here. There is a tech station off to the side. We'll get to that in a moment. Just gonna clear out the enemies first. Do a bit of a jump cut so that you don't see me breaking pots for a couple minutes. And this is an energy station. So, you know what, Storm? Get over here. We're gonna need all the chain lightning later. And one last quick level up session for all of these characters. Also, they're level 15 now, which means not only can they equip certain things that I was just holding onto this entire time, but they also unlock extreme abilities, which, if you've seen that bar at the bottom of the screen with the glowing token on it, it's related to that. I'll explain that later, hopefully, but next time on X-Men Legends 2, gotta get that Vibranium somehow.